Hello and welcome to my channel. It is ZG here. If you like my content I bring to YouTube, please like and subscribe. Check out my Twitch, all links are on my YouTube main page. Feel free to follow me on Twitch if you like to watch a streamer stream a variety of games, also Magic the Gathering. Thanks for any support and engagement, it means a lot. I won't waste your time and let's get into the video. What is up guys? So in today's video I'm going to cover Tameshi, Reality Architect. Tameshi Reality Architect is a 1 blue 2 generic 3 converted mana cost legendary creature that is a Moonfall wizard that reads: whenever one or more non-creature permanents are returned to your hand, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. And then our other ability is you can pay X and then 1 white to return a land you control to its owner's hand. Return target artifact or enchantment card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. So what this does, right, is for X and 1 white you return a land you control to your hand, and then you can reanimate any enchantment or artifact from your graveyard into play. Comes very handy because she has synergy with two abilities she has. Like, you draw a card if you return a land you control to your hand, and then you can reanimate anything. But let's just jump into the deck. The first thing I want to cover is a spell lock with Lavinia, Zoria's Renegade, and Knowledge Pool. So Lavinia, Zoria's Renegade reads: each opponent can cast non-creature spells with converted mana cost greater than the number of lands that player controls. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. So this slows down people that's going to rely on ramp to play big creatures, and with Knowledge Pool it is a complete lock out of the game. Knowledge Pool is a 6 converted mana cost artifact that has imprint, and the imprint is: when Knowledge Pool enters the battlefield, each player exiles the top 3 cards of the library. Whenever a player casts a spell from his or her hand, that player exiles it. If a player does, he or she may cast another non-land card exiled with Knowledge Pool without paying that card's mana cost. So you need Lavinia, Zoria's Renegade to enable the lock, but it's terrible on its own, having people cast spells for free. But with Lavinia, Zoria's Renegade, you basically counter anything. And then another lock that I want to cover is Shifting Sky, Wrath of Matted Lage, and then Defeatis mode. So Shifting Sky enters the battlefield, and then you choose a color, and then it says all non-land permanents are the chosen color. Then you have Wrath of Matted Lage that says when Wrath of Matted Lage comes into the battlefield, comes into play, tap all red creatures. Red creatures don't untap during their controller's untap steps. So this essentially locks out any red cards, like any red creatures that don't untap. And with this you choose all to be red, so you can essentially like lock all creatures out of the game from untapping. And then you have the Fairies mode, also works well with Shifting Sky, but the Fairy mode is a bit different. So it says as the Fairies mode comes into play, choose a color. Creatures of the chosen color without flying can't attack you. So this and Shifting Sky basically locks all creatures of the chosen color, so they can't attack you unless they are flying. So this is also a very good lock. It locks you out of the game from being attacked by all creatures, but if they are flying, then it's another story. And then that's it for the locks. Then we have a Mirror Mad Phantasm combo. I'm just gonna cover Mirror Mad Phantasm first before I explain the combo. So Mirror Mad Phantasm is a 5 converted mana cost blue creature spirit that has flying, and then for 2 mana, Mirror Mad's Phantasm owner shuffles it into his or her library. If that player does, he or she reveals cards from the top of that library until a card named Mirror Mad Phantasm is revealed. The player puts that card into the battlefield, and all other cards reveal this way into his or her graveyard. So you reveal all cards until you reveal Mirror Mad Phantasm, and then you put it into play, and then you put all the rest of the cards in your graveyard. And this works very well with Resurgent Belief. It also works well with your commander, because you can use your ability to bounce a land to your hand and then reanimate any enchantment or artifact in your deck. But in this case, the Resurgent Belief is the combo. It's a suspend 2 white white card that has 1 generic, 1 white, and then you suspend it for 2, and then it reads, if you cast it after 2 turns, you can return all enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this allows you to reanimate all enchantments that were put into the graveyard by Mermaid Phantasm, or just any odd enchantments that were used while you were playing. So it's not a bad card on its own, especially in an artifact and in an enchantment heavy deck. It's very good. Then I want to cover the ramp. So Burnished Heart is probably one of the greatest cards to ramp with. For 6 mana you can get 2 basic land cards, put them into the battlefield tapped, and this works very well in white and blue, because unless you are your artifact ramp, there's no way for you to gain mana advantage. Then Sisay's Ring, Manalith, Hedron Archive, Prismatic Lens, Azorius Cluestone, taps for blue and white. Azorius Keyrune, taps for blue and white. Azorius Locket, taps for blue and white. Azorius Signet, and that's it for the ramp. As you can see, most of it taps for both colors, because it's only 2 colors to worry about, and then the rest, like Sisay's Ring and Hedron Archive, taps for 2 mana. It's a 4 mana artifact that taps for 2, so it's a 4 for 2 that you can tap and play Prismatic Lens, for example. Prismatic Lens, for example, is probably one of the best ramp cards in this deck, aside from Signet. Signet is also very good, but Prismatic Lens is a 2 for 1. You tap it for 2 mana, and then you can tap it for 1. So it ramps you up by 1 and it's low on the curve. That's it for the ramp. I'm going to cover the Stax pieces next, because this deck wants to slow down the game. As you can see in the attack log, in the color attack log. So the first spell is Kismet. It's a 4 mana enchantment, white enchantment, that reads, artifacts, creatures, and lands played by your opponent enter the battlefield tapped. So this slows down all haste creatures, or all creatures that need to tap or have an ability to tap. No blockers. And then Rule of Law, each player can cast more than 1 spell each turn, so it slows down the game tremendously, and is also an enchantment to reanimate. Confounding Conundrum, it draws you a card, and then whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, if that player had another land under the battlefield under their control this turn, return the land they control to its owner's hand. So this stops ramp and bounces them to their hand, so their strategy is slowed down. Vren, Wingmare, non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. Imposing Sovereign, creatures your opponent control into the battlefield tapped. Then you have Containment Priest. If a non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead, which basically stops tokens, and it has flash as well. So that's it for the Stax pieces. Now I'm going to show you ways to protect your commander and your combo with Stave Off. It's a one mana white instant that says target creature gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. It also works very well with the Shifting Sky, because you can make all of them red, and then you use Stave Off to give Tameshi protection from red. Same with God's Willing, same story as Stave Off, and then Dive Down. It's a blue in this case, a blue instant for white, 1 blue, and then you say target creature you control gets hexproof until end of turn. And that's it for protecting your combo. Next is the counter magic, because obviously you want to be countering stuff if you're running blue. Hesitation quite good in an enchantment heavy deck, because you played for 2 mana, and then if any spell is played, counter that spell and sacrifice Hesitation. So you can keep on recurring this to counter the first spell that was cast, because you don't choose what you counter, it's just the first spell that forces you or your opponent to play a spell to have it go off the board. Whirlwind Denial for like if there's a spell counter war going on, or if someone's playing Storm and stuff like that, you can play this for 3 mana. Then Supreme will counter unless the controller pays 3, or you can look at the top 4 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Then Sinister Sabotage is a hard counter spell. Dissolve, same as Sinister Sabotage. Negate, one of the base counter spells in the game. It counters non-creature spell. Banner Leak, it's a 2 mana instant and counters unless they pay 3. Spell Pierce is also very good. Turn 1, you can have it up and ready if someone is going to go off the next turn. The spell counter target instant, very good. And that's it for the counter magic. Next, I'm going to cover the ways to dig for your combos. One of them being Omen of the Sea. It's also an enchantment. So if you sacrifice it to scry 2, you can reanimate it with Tameshi. Treasure Cruise, very good. Banned in a lot of formats because of how good it is. This works well with Mirrorman Phantasm. You can delve and then draw cards for 1 blue. Muldrifter, you can invoke it for 3 mana to draw 2 cards. Merfolk Looter, you can tap it to draw a card and then discard a card. Thirst of Meaning, draw 3 or discard 2 cards unless you discard an enchantment. So this, you can discard enchantments to reanimate, or you can discard 2 to dig for cards and put cards in your graveyard. Thirst for Knowledge, same as Thirst for Meaning, but just an artifact you need to discard. Thought Scour, mold 2 and then draw a card. Opt, scry 1, draw a card. It's also an instant. And that is it for digging for your combo. Then I'm going to cover some interaction with other artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. One of them being Consulate Crackdown. When Consulate Crackdown enters the battlefield, exile all artifacts your opponents control until Consulate Crackdown leaves the battlefield. So this for 5 mana exiles all artifacts until it leaves the battlefield. It is very good. Cast out 4 mana flash enchantment that exiles target non-land permanent and opponent controls, and it also has cycling for 1 to put it in your graveyard. Oblivion Ring exiles another target non-land permanent until Oblivion Ring leaves the battlefield. Vanishing Light, same as Oblivion Ring. Seal of Cleansing, it's very relevant because you sacrifice it to destroy target artifact or enchantment, but you can also reanimate it with Tameshi. Casiminas Transmutation, you enchant a creature and it loses all abilities and has power and toughness 1 of 1 and 1. Soul Snare, also an enchantment that you sacrifice to exile target creature that's attacking you or a planeswalker you control. Seal of Removal, also enchantment you can sacrifice and reanimate for 1 mana. It's very good. Then Detention Vortex, you enchant permanent, it can attack or block, and its activated abilities can be activated, but for 3 mana any opponent can destroy Detention Vortex, but it's also a target to reanimate, so you can keep on recurring it. Then Nevinaral's Disc, it enters battlefield and then you tap it to destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. This is also a good reanimation target that you can keep on recurring to wipe the board. Glass Casket, it's a 2 mana artifact that reads, when Glass Casket enters the battlefield, exile target creature and opponent controls with converted mana cost 3 or less until Glass Casket leaves the battlefield. And then one is Aether Spellbomb, also an artifact to recur, and it draws you a card if you sacrifice it. Otherwise, you can return target creature to its owner's hand. Aetherize, to return all attacking creatures to their owner's hand. Ring of an Eye, you can blink a non-land permanent, or if you kick, you can draw a card. That's it for interaction. I'm almost done, guys. Next is the utility. Some very good spells that will help you a lot, like Verity Circle. Whenever a creature comes tapped, you may draw a card, or you can tap target creature without flying. Trail of Evidence, all instant and sorceries let you investigate. Weathbreak Hippocamp, if you play cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. So this helps counter magic replace themselves by letting you draw a card each time you play instant in an opponent's turn. Azorius Aethermage is very good. When you return a land or a permanent to your owner's hand, you might pay 1 if you do draw a card. So if you use Tameshi's ability to return a land to your hand, you can pay 1 and then draw a card. It's pretty good synergy. Terskaide Kafile, is you have no maximum hand size, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have exactly 13 cards in your hand, you win the game. It's a spicy win condition. I don't think you're necessarily going to win with it, but it is an option if you're slowing down the game and you want to win in one way or another. And that is it for utility. Next, I'm going to cover the mana base. Look at these lands, it's so beautiful. But you run 20 islands and then you run 18 plains, guys, and then that's it for the deck. I hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you in the next one. But yeah, guys, that is it from me. I hope you like this type of content. If you do, please like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video.